Hello. I thought we would begin the review with me walking through Egypt on my holiday. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's the review for Uncharted 3.
Is it a treasure of a game, or should it remain lost in the sand? Let's find out.
Let's think about the story.
In Naughty Dog's latest adventure, Nathan Drake is embarking on a quest to find the Atlantis of the Sands using the help of his ancestor's ring.
Along the way, he will encounter British bad guys and struggle with his relationships between his mentor, Victor Sullivan, and his love interest, Elena Fisher.
The Uncharted series has always been known for its terrific storytelling, and here it's no different. Well, kind of.
The game's still told with the same high production values and solid voice acting, but the game sometimes suffers in telling the narrative with weak villains, a set piece that feels shoehorned in, and some questionable plot points that contradict previous games.
Now you're probably asking, like what? Well, we'll tell you. In the game, Nathan Drake has been waiting 20 years to get a disk device and use the ring on it to work out a secret code. Now that's all fine, but if the ring was that important, why would Nathan Drake, in the first game, leave it behind at the dead bones of his ancestor?
Wasted his life for nothing.
And another point. Halfway through the game, Elena says Sully will travel to the ends of the earth for Drake, but in the second game, he's all happy to quit right at the start.
You go meet your girl in Nepal. I'm going somewhere warm. Come on.
We either looking too deep into it, or we should view it as a standalone game. But if that's the case, why bother referencing previous entries?
Okay, I'm ready for some kick-ass gameplay.
Uncharted 3 is very similar to its predecessors when it comes to gameplay. You'll engage in shootouts, platform over obstacles, and solve the occasional puzzle, which are all broken up by the game's story.
One of the compelling things about Uncharted 2 was its spectacular set pieces, and in number 3, we have a couple of new ones. Unfortunately, none of them measure up to the intense train sequence from the second game. Mostly because in Naughty Dog's attempt to make the game more cinematic, it sometimes feels like the set pieces are on automatic, giving you less interaction to what's happening on screen.
Don't forget the tank.
And the tank.
Platforming is simple, like always, but also given a new lease of life in some engaging chase sequences.
Hand-to-hand combat is more front and center this time, and while it's fun beating up enemies with good old fisticuffs, it does feel like a poor man's version of the combat from Batman Arkham Asylum. Puzzles are in greater supply this time, and are quite challenging, with some of them being real head-scratches. Or maybe I'm just dumb.
Finally, the gunplay is satisfying and there's plenty of intense shootouts. Unfortunately, the shooting is damaged by the game's difficulty.
Which is like the Himalayas. It goes up and down, all the way through. 1 minute you'll steam through a gunfight, the next you'll be bombarded with so many enemies, you become like ice, afraid to move.
Once you've made your way through the campaign, you have an extensive online multiplayer waiting for you. The rims of the online have seen a huge makeover, with tons of customization options, such as customizable guns, boosters, metal kickbacks, gear. You can even create your own emblem symbol. Unfortunately, all this comes at a price, and you'll have to play extensively to unlock many of the more exciting features.
The core of the online play, however, still remains mostly the same. There's some neat features such as a new buddy system, where you can high-five each other when you've killed an enemy. It feels pointless, but it's a quirky and welcome addition. The collection of maps is a lovely, wholesome bunch, and there's plenty of modes to keep one interested.
Of course, there's also the co-op modes, which can now be played in split screen.
Thank you, Naughty Dog.
And it's all good and dandy. The online is a lot of fun and will keep players happily for hours, thanks to its wealth of options, although a part of me does miss the simplicity of Uncharted 2.
What the hell's going on? I'm not in control.
Drake's movement is silky smooth, and jumping and swinging through levels is concrete and solid. Aiming and shooting weapons is satisfying, but a little slow, and climbing is good for the most part, but Drake can sometimes be a little unresponsive.
Combat is fun and mostly well executed, but also a little choppy as Drake feels erratic at times.
Do you like the sound of my voice? Thumb me up.
The sound design for this game is top-notch, which is expected from a studio like Naughty Dog.
The The voice acting is well done, but sometimes falls flat, particularly in an emotional scene near the end of the game. The sound effects are top quality and help suck you in, such as a part when you're galloping on a horse through the desert.
Finally, the musical score helps the game achieve the cinematic scope created by the visuals.
One day, I will be the graphics.
Speaking of the visuals, it's clear what Naughty Dog spent most of their time on. The game is graphically flawless. The environments are bursting with detail. The physics, such as the way the water in the swimming pool sloshes around, are simply staggering in the sand. Oh boy, the way the sand reacts to Drake's feet, amazing.
Character animations are fantastic, but it's the tiny details, such as the way Drake fumbles through the desert, or the way he brushes away flies that really sweeten the deal. Simply put, Uncharted 3 is the best looking game ever made.
Actually, that might be an exaggeration. Well, let's say it's the best looking game on the market right now.
On the PS3.
On the PS3.
That's
yeah.
better, there you go.
It might
Enough
be an
said.
exaggerating.
Enough said.
Because Uncharted,
Now I can stretch my arm at good length.
Uncharted 3's single-player campaign is disappointingly short, and you'll complete it in a minimal 8 to 12 hours. There's of course multiple difficulties to play through, and 101 treasures to collect throughout the 22 chapters. Oh!
Of course, the online multiplayer adds much needed legs to the game, and you'll probably find that most of your time will be spent playing with others.
Overall, I'm full of gas.
With all the hype surrounding the game, I was expecting a masterpiece. But unfortunately, with its average and slightly disjointed story, and a weak campaign that lacks the wow factor of its predecessor, Uncharted 3 comes across as a disappointment.
It's the online multiplayer that eventually salvages the experience, and split-screen co-op means I can finally play with my buddy on this review. Ultimately, Uncharted 3 is a solid game, but it's nowhere near as good as we were hoping it to be.